Welcome to the Bringing Hope Home podcast. We're Bryce and Colette Schaefer, pastors, teachers, and madly in love empty nesters. We invite you into our home as we candidly share faith-filled, practical ways to build a strong and lasting marriage. All right, we are back with another week talking about marriage here.
Right. Our focus is a family. So
we're excited. It's been good. If you've missed the last two, go ahead and listen, especially the last one, if you're single, on dating, because today's is going to be kind of a continuing that conversation a little bit.
Yeah, because you've dated, and we're progressing this podcast a little bit. So now we're like, okay, we're thinking this would be the right one for us to get married to. So now what? Where do we go from here? Mm-hmm. And again, this could be a year into your relationship, 2 years, 3 years. It could be really quick. I know your parents got married fairly
fast. 3 months of knowing each other?
Right, and they are still rocking strong together. And so the timing is not about what the world thinks. It's about your timing and what God thinks in your relationship. And
now, saying that, we do not
think it's a good idea
to have a long engagement.
Or to do it too fast either.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta
long engagement, I'm saying, like, if you are engaged for years and years.
Yes. It shouldn't be more than a year.
Right.
I don't think.
Right.
We didn't rehearse that, but that's what I think.
Yeah. If it's longer than a year and a half, 2 years.
Without extenuating circumstances.
Right.
Then you need to stop, because all you're doing is playing house, and we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So, but we want to talk about marriage prep. And so now you're going to maybe roll your eyes. Well, my goodness, why would we want to do that? Well, here, let me tell you just really quick why you'd want to do it. There are people out there that have a lot of information and experience, and hopefully you're going to go to a pastor and learn from them what they can share with you. God has led you to a church, and because of that has led you to, kind of a marriage prep mentor that can help you and guide you through your, start into your marriage, because a good start can lead to great things.
And if you don't have somebody, you can look down below and we will help you out. We actually have a mentorship program that we would love to talk to you about. You can book a free call with us and see what that's all entails. So
yeah, we will be there for you if you would allow us to.
Yeah,
for sure. But we want to just do that. And really, why do you marriage prep? Why do you start talking about those things? Because I think marriage prep allows you to probe you yourself and to get talking to your spouse on certain subjects and areas, a fiance that maybe you haven't talked about yet. Mm-hmm. It really is. I mean, a good thing there. I can't tell you how many times I've sat down with couples for marriage enrichment. I don't call it, marriage counseling, marriage enrichment, that we talk about things and they're like, oh, we've never thought about that, or we've never talked about that. And I say, okay, well, there's your homework, because we want you to talk about these things. I have experience in a marriage and seen many marriages. Let me help you, figure some of this stuff out. Not that I want to know about all of it. That's your business. But I want you to talk about it, because if you can talk about it, communicate, and figure it out ahead of time, the better off you're going to be. Mm-hmm. And then life and your marriage won't catch you by surprise, which is important.
Yep. And people may say, well, if you listen to our first episode, well, isn't that what living together kind of does?
Right. But we know by statistics that doesn't really help you out in the long run, because you're going to always lack trust then.
And just because you're living together doesn't mean you're communicating.
Right.
So, talking about it is the best way.
And so hopefully in a marriage prep course or class or counseling, whatever you want to call it, you're asking some harder questions and the right questions. Because it's not just saying I'm going to go get married to him. It's like, I want to be married to him. Now let's talk about it. Now let's start planning for it. And planning it starts about talking about life, because it's not about the wedding. It's not about the event or the events of life. It's about the journey. It's about forever. And that's what marriage prep hopefully is prepping you for, is the journey of forever, not just the events that we have. You know, there's the show that's been on for countless years now, The Bachelor and The Bachelorette and all those different things. How many of those relationships last? Very, 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 very few, because it's all on an event, and it's all about doing and the extravagance of it all. And it's all on the lust and the eyes of things, rather than the deep core of who you are. And so that's what hopefully marriage is going to do that. And so when you do it, you're also, why would you do it? You're going to develop skills. At least when we talk to you, and I talk to couples, it's about developing skills that you can implement in your marriage ahead of time, so you can be successful. And that's
just like, when you have any training for a job, right? Most jobs, you need training. We were both teachers by profession. We had to go to college to get training to be a teacher, right? We're both pastors, so we had to go to training to be pastors. Well, the same thing for marriage.
That's the most important job.
Most important job that you have is each other. You need some training.
Right. And like student teaching, you go there and you kind of have a mentor. And so marriage prep, counseling, enrichment, it's all about finding that mentor, and then really finding that person even after you're done with that to talk things through, because you just don't know what life is going to throw at you.
Now, if you had a good family upbringing, then,
right there, that's
right there, that's
to start.
The mentorship, and you can really glean off of, and that's what we did, from our parents, because honestly, we didn't have much marriage counseling or enrichment from anybody, but we were both going to church together, and our parents were very strong, and our parents would always talk about different things, and grandparents, and so I think we probably had the training and growing up and clear through. I mean, while we were engaged, our parents were talking to us. So we didn't have maybe formal from a pastor, but our parents certainly talked to us about everything and made sure that we were talking about everything
they did
before. So if you have parents that have done it, then, talk to them. Talk to couples that you see that are successful and,
Right. And it kind of leads us to the verse of today, which is Proverbs 4:7. So I'm going to read Proverbs 4:7 to you. It says, "Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and in all you're getting, get understanding." And that's what you're doing in marriage prep, getting wisdom and understanding. Just plain and simple.
Yeah.
So in marriage prep, what are you looking for? So here's just a few things to look for. Number one, what's God's role and the church's role in your upcoming marriage? I mean, there's too many couples out there that put God on a shelf because they're infatuated and in love with somebody. And if they brought God into it, they believe it's going to tear it apart.
Or they have maybe a personal relationship with God, but they don't have a relationship with God together, right? And so that's important. You both need a relationship with God, but then together, are you going to be going to church together? Are you going to be serving in your church together?
Yeah, I talk to people about this all the time. It's really the number one thing. Are you going to go to church together? And find that, not religion, but that relationship together. Because if one goes and one doesn't, and if you're married and you're listening to this and say, well, my spouse doesn't go with me and I would really like to, well, find another way to incorporate God together and start talking about God together. And some people don't have to work on Sundays or Wednesday nights. So again, find your time as a couple
Maybe it's
to
listening
pursue
to a
God.
podcast or listening
Yep.
to...
Find a way to, and that's what marriage prep is, but it's about, are you going to pursue God together? Because you're going to grow in God and you want to bring your spouse with you, because that makes marriage the best.
Definitely.
For sure. Another thing to consider is financial situations. You know, if they have a lot of debt or no debt, if they have a lot of money, or whatever
their
the case
spending
may be,
habits.
right? Their spending habits, those kind of things are important to realize and to recognize how you're going to do it together. One of the things we get to do when we mentor couples is look at, are you a saver or a spender? And it's always interesting when we have that conversation with a couple. Oh yeah, and they already know what they are and what the other one is. But I say, now you better be talking about it, and figuring out what style you want to have. Again, career choices. Where are you going? What's your goals? And we know that research says that you change jobs about 7 times in your lifetime. We've changed jobs a couple of times. And so that's not the issue, because you can't see that far down the road of your life. But again, how are you going to handle job choices and the choice that you have immediately? And your life goal choices. Where do you want to end up? Is it going to take you away from the home? If you're one that really needs your partner there with you all the time, or are you more independent and okay with them being off on, doing their thing? Knowing those types of roles and talking about them is important, not ignoring them, for sure.
Yeah. The next one is number of kids. Talk about how many kids you want. And
oh, yes.
Yes.
We'll tell the story of mine, because I think
What?
our life is really good. So before marriage, we did talk about this one, right? And we said
2.5?
2.5, like everybody says. And then we said, well, we can't have the 0.5, so we got to round to the 3.
3.
So we decided on 3. Well, I didn't know that I would be so stressed out with babies and life.
You were very stressed. You and sleep deprivation
didn't do so well. And I really loved kids. When we were dating and I was in high school, I enjoyed kids a lot. But then the stress of my own kids kind of got to me. So after 2, I said, can we be done? Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. And you to make a long story short,
absolutely not.
we agreed on 3. And
You're welcome, Nathaniel, who is our 3rd.
That's right. That is true. And I would have stopped at 2, because it was so stressful on me, and I had to adapt and change and grow in that, and it was really hard on me. But I went back to our conversations before marriage.
Yes.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Another one to consider is in-laws or family involvement. If you own a business and you're in business with family, then family in your marriage relationship gets kicked up a notch. Or, how is their parents, involved in your spouse's life or going to be spouse's life? What is it going to look like? Talk to
our poor
spouse.
son-in-law. So our kids are, our daughter and her husband are our children's and youth pastors as well. Mm-hmm. So they live right behind us.
Yep. We could throw a rock into their window.
We have 2 parsonages, and so they live right behind us. And so we are in there,
in his grill all the time, unfortunately. And he takes it really, really well.
He does.
Because we're boss and in-laws.
And in-laws.
And neighbors. And
poor thing.
Poor guy. And so the grace, pray for Matthias. But he did know.
But that is something that they had to consider, right?
Yep.
Before they took the job is, okay, we're going to be...
Okay. So yes, you got to consider all that and talk about it and enjoy that conversation. It's not about digging at your in-laws. It's about learning to support each other's families and figuring out the roles.
Right.
And putting boundaries. I think it's so important. Just one more thing from our marriage. I'm an open book. And so before I met you, my open book with my finances were my parents. And I remember when we got married, I remember you coming to me once and saying, you can't be open book the finances with your parents as much as you were. And she was certainly right. But that was my fallback always, because I always wanted a second set of eyes on our finances. So that was kind of creating a little bit of a wedge, and not a very good one. And looking back, my wife was certainly right. You were right. And so we had to adjust that relationship and put some boundaries in with my parents. And it wasn't my parents' doing, it was my doing. And they totally agreed. Yeah. But anyway, that's there for sure. So, and then what's your role going to be in the relationship? You know,
some of those things you'll talk about, after that aren't as.
But are you going to raise your kids together?
Yeah.
Or or is it just the wife's job? Or is it going to be a stay-at-home dad? Because the wife has a great career and path.
Do you want to homeschool? Do you want to?
Those kind of things. Yep. Another one. What is your life going to look like beyond the wedding? And I kind of said that already, but beyond the event,
Which you never know, but still in every stage, and we talk about this, no matter what stage you are in marriage, it's always good to just keep dreaming. And what
do you want it to look like?
What do you want it to look like? What do you aspire for it to be? And those are all the things, the more that you can line up in your dreams, then you're going to go the same direction. Right. And the vision for your marriage.
And if my dream isn't her dream or vice versa, can I support that dream and be a part of their dream? Really. I remember we went to college together, but then we decided to have a family. So you stopped going to school and raised our kids till they got into school. And then it was like, you know what? I have a desire to go back and finish. And so that was her dream. So guess what? It wasn't my dream because it wasn't my schooling, but it was yours. And since we were married, I said, your dream is going to become my dream, and I'm going to be able to support you. And I'm going to be able to encourage you. I'm going to take care of the kids a little bit more. And so we're going to do it as a team, even though it's your dream. And so that's important to figure. And again, you're going to walk that through and talk that through the rest of your life, but you start that before you're married. Because everything goes a lot smoother when you start off right and not stumble out of the gates.
Right. We have covered a lot of information, but this was just 17 minutes. And so we want to let you know that we have a whole course, the Marriage Builders course. If you are getting married, like we said before, check that out. The link will be down below. And if you want to have us walk you through and prepare you for marriage, that information will also be there below. Right. We'd love for you to mentor.
Yeah, mentor you. I'm going to say that Marriage Builders course that we have, go check that out because it has 5 hours plus of information, 21 worksheets that you get to download and work through. So even if you're in marriage counseling with somebody else or marriage enrichment, it's okay to have a little extra in there.
This course is good for if you're just starting out, if you've been married for a long time, if it's a rocky road. It kind of covers...
It covers the gamut for you, and it would be a great resource, I'm sure of it, for you. So please check that out, and we want to be there for you in
That's
that,
right.
For sure. So, learn, grow in the wisdom of each other. That's the key to a successful, healthy marriage. So.
All right, till next time, we'll see you later.